dilanjutkan dengan menyanyikan himne Aicis. Hadirin dipersilakan duduk kembali. Terima kasih ada adik dari mahasiswa UIN Syarif Purwokerto Jakarta. Boleh beri tepuk yang semangat untuk mahasiswa UIN Syarif Purwokerto Jakarta yang telah memberi banyak prestasi dalam paduan suara. Prestasi yang diraih oleh adik kita adalah juara pertama pada event Grand Prix of Nations Asia Pacific Choir Games tahun 2017 di Sri Lanka, dan juga paduan suara mahasiswa UIN ini juga pada tahun 2016 meraih penghargaan pada Bronze Prize ke-12 di Busan Choral Festival and Competition di Korea Selatan.
Biasanya mengabdi pada negara ini, majunya
prajurit ya tempur
nggak sempat diganti,
nggak sempat dosen. Ibu
Ibu di baik tadi kan?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hamdan wa syukran lillah wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, amma ba'd. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Amin ya rabbal alamin. Yang terhormat Menteri Komunikasi dan Informatika Republik Indonesia Bapak Rudiantara, yang kami hormati Direktur Jenderal Pendidikan Islam Kementerian Agama Bapak Profesor Dr. M.Phil Kamarudin Amin, yang kami hormati segenap pejabat eselon 1 dan 2 di lingkungan Kementerian Agama, yang mulia para duta besar negara sahabat, yang kami hormati para rektor dan ketua sekolah tinggi agama Islam seluruh Indonesia, para pembicara tamu dari berbagai negara, hadirin tamu undangan yang berbahagia. Puji syukur senantiasa kita panjatkan kehadirat Allah atas segala limpahan karunia yang kita nikmati, hingga di kesempatan pada malam hari ini kita dapat berjumpa kembali dalam acara pembukaan Annual International Conference of Islamic Studies yang ke-19 tahun 2019. Salawat pesan salam senantiasa tercurahkan keharibaan Nabi Brihan Nabi Yuna Muhammad SAW beserta seluruh keluarga, para sahabat, juga insya Allah kita umatnya yang setia mengikuti ajaran beliau. Bapak Menteri beserta Bapak Ibu hadirin yang kami hormati, selanjutnya marilah kita ikuti bersama pembacaan ayat-ayat suci Al-Quran yang akan dikumandangkan oleh Qari Ustadz Qadarus Madi Rashid, Qari terbaik kedua pada event internasional di Kuwait tahun 2019. Disilakan.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هو الذي أنزل عليك الكتاب منه آيات محكمات آيات محكمات هن أم الكتاب وأخر متشابهات. فأما الذين في قلوبهم زيغ فيتبعون ما تشابه منه ابتغاء الفتنة فيتبعون ما تشابه منه ابتغاء الفتنة وابتغاء تأويله وما يعلم تأويله إلا الله والراسخون في العلم يقولون آمنا به كل من عند ربنا وما يذكر إلا أولو الألباب وما يذكر إلا أولو الألباب وما يذكر إلا أولو الألباب صدق الله العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Baiklah Bapak Ibu hadirin yang kami hormati, berikutnya kita akan ikuti bersama pengantar tema konferensi oleh Profesor Nur Hadi Hasan. Disilakan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, over the last 20 years, the world has seen unprecedented expansion of communication and information technology. One consequence of this is that digital technology has permeated our lives. When we wake up in the morning, the first thing to remember and get is our smartphone. Wherever we go, we take with us our smartphone. And we check our smartphone every 5, 10, or 15 minutes. For sure, no one can escape the digital technology. To order the jet, for instance, get cars, food, or massage, we rely 100% on the digital technology. This also holds true when we perform umrah or hajj. The first thing to do is to make selfie and post our selfie photo on our Facebook, Instagram, or WhatsApp. Paradoxically, however, the expansion of digital technology does not necessarily give rise to secret pluralism. In some cases, digital technology has allowed many bad things to happen, including the dissemination of conservatism, radicalism, and even terrorism. Actors of militant radical organizations are very smart in utilizing digital technology to support their ideas and ideology. Consequently, our media platform is imbued with hate speech, animosity, and violent discourse. It is noteworthy that you have become the main target of their campaign. In fact, you serve as the backbone of such organizations. But interestingly, it is also you who play a crucial role as transactors of global trends arising from global modernity. While feeling insecure to confront rapid change as a result of globalization, youth are forced to claim space and consolidate their the Honorable Minister of Communication and Information Technology and Information, Director General of Islamic Education, Director of Islamic Higher Education, Rectors, Vice Rectors, Directors of Graduate Schools, Deans of Faculties at Islamic Universities, distinguished speakers, panelists, guests, and all participants of the 19th Annual International Conference of Islamic Studies. The theme of our conference this year is Digital Islam, Education and Youth, Changing Landscape of Indonesian Islam. With this theme, our conference is aimed at exploring the ways in which the advancements of communication and information technologies has informed the recent dynamic of Islam and Muslim society all over the world, including Indonesia. There are four major questions to be tackled in this conference. How does the digital technology shape and reshape Islam and Muslim lives? How does it change and reorganize mode of knowledge production among Muslims? How does it modify the relation Muslims have with their past? How does it orient Muslim perception and aspiration about the future? We use the concept of digital Islam to indicate new feature and development in Islam that is related closely to the expansion of the digital technology. Particular attention is given to the ways the digital technology has changed the landscape of Indonesian Islam. In fact, the transparency engendered by the digital technology increased the scope, intensity, and form of involvement in a multiplicity of overlapping public spheres. New religious actors who bear no religious authority in a traditional sense have emerged. They may not be as literate as those of the past, but they are certainly more able to manipulate symbols and rituals and to represent the mass society of today. There are also actors from militant radical organizations who are capable to manipulate the digital media for disseminating their ideology. There is therefore a necessity for us to stand together to respond to such a phenomenon. The role of Islamic education is quite instrumental in this context. The importance of education lies in its capacity both to produce and transmit knowledge and to impart norms and values to targeted audience. It is also a field where even the lives of Muslims are entangled with the normative understandings of Islam in multiple ways. At the heart of this process lies a variety of Islamic educational institutions, including pesantren, madrasah, Islamic colleges, and universities that have existed in Indonesia for centuries and proliferated under the Ministry of Religious Affairs. This is an interdisciplinary conference that explores several sub-themes, including mitigating conservatism and radicalism through religious education, digitalization of Islamic texts, ulama and fatwa in the digital age, youth, social media and identity formation, Islam, cinema and youth music, reclaiming jihad doctrine for youth, health practices and cyber psychology, new trends in halal industry, sacred texts and mediated theology, interreligious encounter in digital media, Islamic philosophy in the post-truth era, and Islamic philanthropy, voluntarism, and activism. It is our privilege that in this conference we will listen to speech, talks, presentation, and discussion delivered by distinguished speakers coming from all over the world, researchers, observers, and scholars of various disciplines who examine the phenomenon of digital Islam from different but interrelated perspectives. There will be around 400 papers selected among 1,500 submitted papers to be presented in this conference. These papers explore nuanced, updated research findings and recommendations that might be taken into account by anyone, including policymakers. A selection of the presented papers will be published in Scopus Index proceedings, internationally reputed journals, national journals, and other forms of publication. We are also very pleased to announce the establishment of Media Network for Islamic Moderation. This consortium will facilitate them to share their initiative and ideas to disseminate digital contents of moderate Islam, which promote Islam wasatiyah, moderate Islam, Islam rahmatan lil alamin, Islam as mercy for the universe. Allahumma waffiq ila aqwamit thariq. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Baiklah Bapak Menteri beserta hadirin yang kami hormati, selanjutnya kita ikuti bersama laporan Direktur Jenderal Pendidikan Islam Bapak Profesor Dr. Phil Kamarudin Amin. Silakan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahilladzi anzala ala 'abdihi al-kitaba wa lam yaj'al lahu 'iwaja qayyiman liyunzira ba'san shadidan wa yubashshirul mu'minina alladzina ya'maluna as-shalihat. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil, wala haula wala quwwata illa billahil aliyyil azim. Yang sama-sama kita hormati, yang kita muliakan Bapak Menteri Komunikasi dan Informasi Bapak Rudi Antara PhD. Atas nama Kementerian Agama, kami merasa sangat bersyukur Pak Menteri bisa hadir bersama kita pada kesempatan ini. Beliau ini, Pak Menteri ini, di samping sebagai Menteri Kominfo, juga sebagai Ketua Dewan Masjid Indonesia. Beliau juga cukup luar biasa membantu bersama Kementerian Agama untuk mendirikan Universitas Islam Internasional. Jadi beliau itu salah seorang tokoh penting di belakangnya pendirian Triple IU itu. Terima kasih Pak Menteri atas kehadirannya. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Pak Menteri, sebelumnya saya mau melaporkan, sebelum saya memberi laporan resmi, Pak Menteri, mumpung Pak Menteri di sini, saya ingin menyampaikan bahwa di Kementerian Agama ini ada 58 perguruan tinggi negeri, Pak. Ada 17 universitas, masih ada sekitar 6 sekolah tinggi, selebihnya institut. Jumlah mahasiswanya tidak kurang dari 1.100.000 mahasiswa di bawah Kementerian Agama. Ada sekitar 800-an ya, totalnya hampir 1.000-an perguruan tinggi Islam negeri dan swasta di bawah Kementerian Agama. Di samping itu, Pak Menteri, selain perguruan tinggi, Kementerian Agama juga menyelenggarakan pendidikan dasar menengah. Kita punya siswa-siswi madrasah sekitar 10 juta, Pak Menteri. Ada sekitar 72.000 madrasah. Kita punya pesantren hampir 30.000. Ada santri sekitar 4 juta lebih. Kemudian di Niat Takmili ada sekitar 7 juta lebih. Dosen kita ada sekitar 32.000. Profesornya ada 500 lebih. Doktornya sudah sekitar 6.000-an saya kira. Guru kita ada sekitar 1 juta, Pak. Kira-kira stakeholder pendidikan Islam di bawah Kementerian Agama ini sekitar 28 juta, Pak. Jadi sangat besar sekali totalnya. Kira-kira 25% dari pendidikan nasional secara umum. Tapi saya laporkan ke Pak Menteri bahwa dengan stakeholder yang begitu besar, Kementerian Agama yang mengelola pendidikan Islam hanya satu Direktorat Jenderal. Kalau di luar Kementerian Agama ada Mendikbud, ada Menristekdikti. Di situ dikelola oleh 2 menteri dengan tentu stakeholder yang jauh lebih besar. Demikian laporan singkat Pak Menteri. Terima kasih sekali lagi, kami bangga senang bisa bersama Pak Menteri pada kesempatan yang berbahagia ini. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm very delighted to welcome you all to the 19th Annual International Conference on Islamic Studies 2019 in the capital city of Jakarta. This year we are bringing up a theme of digital Islam, education and youth, changing landscape of Indonesian Islam as a response to the current dynamics of Islam in this millennial era. These themes aim at looking more closely on how relation between Islam in this region and that of the global world, especially on the shifting discourses from Islam as a social fact to the newly emerging Islamic digital landscape. It is indeed an emerging situation and a robust era for further research. Some compelling sub-themes are going to be presented in Aicis 2019, among others are Islam, youth and social media, religious authority and fatwa in digital age, Islamic literatures of millennial generation, and hijrah, representation and identity. It is our great pleasure that the past Aicis conferences have been a great success attended by many presenters and participants of different institutions and nationalities, including those from North America, Europe, Australia, and Asia. This year, with a more accessible venue in the capital city, we are proud to be able to follow this success by attracting more presenters and participants of various nations and fields of study. Bapak Ibu sekalian, ladies and gentlemen, in this cyber global and interconnected world, we do hope that Aicis 2019 could serve as a strategic venue for academicians and practitioners whose interest in is Islamic studies to get interconnected with other academicians and other fields of study. It is our expectation that more collaborative and interdisciplinary studies will be initiated from this conference. Above all, we do envisage that all papers presented at Aicis 2019 would not only reveal findings, arguments, or present showcases, but also, and more importantly, provide recommendations that are both directly and indirectly beneficial for public needs, especially policymakers and practitioners in Islamic world. This year, Aicis and the future Aicis conferences are expected to be a scholarly link for all Islamic studies and related discipline scholars, both from home country and from abroad. Therefore, it will be a challenge for upcoming Aicis committee members and participants to keep the scholarly flame lit by presenting and discussing the contemporary issues of Islamic studies. It is important to note that in these Aicis, a number of researchers from various Islamic universities who received research fund in 2019 are invited to present papers and their research results before public audience. Pak Menteri yang saya hormati, like the Aicis held in previous years, the 2019 Aicis or 2019 Aicis conference is interdisciplinary in nature. All subthemes can be explored from various scientific disciplines, including theology, philosophy, history, Quranic science and hadith, sociology, anthropology, education, philology, Islamic law, psychology, pure and applied sciences. Panelists will present their papers related to their scientific disciplines moderated by the panel chair, who will keep the balance of the discussion and will put the relevance to the main theme of the Aicis 2019 conference, Digital Islam, Education and Youth, Changing Landscape of Indonesian Islam. Finally, we would like to invite His Honorable Minister of Information and Communication to deliver his keynote speech as well as to open this Aicis conference. Demikian Bapak Ibu sekalian, kurang lebihnya mohon dimaafkan. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Baiklah Bapak Ibu hadirin sekalian yang kami hormati, kini saatnya kita simak bersama keynote speech oleh Menteri Komunikasi dan Informatika Republik Indonesia, Bapak Rudiantara, sekaligus membuka acara Aicis tahun 2019 secara resmi. Disilakan.
Yang mana Pak? Biarkan.
Hammer here.
Honorable Director General of Islamic Education, the Ministry of Religious Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia, brother, sister from other countries, and I also see my friend here, Director of UIN, Ibu Bapak sekalian, and honorable speakers, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahilladzi an'ama alaina bi ni'matil iman wal islam wa nusalli ala khairil anam sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala ashabi ajmain amma ba'd. This late afternoon, I got a call from the Vice President office. And my secretary told me that I have to represent the Vice President Yusuf Kala opening this conference this evening. So, only within a couple hours. I'm not trying to prepare any speeches because you are the scholars. You know better than I do. I don't have to teach you. I don't have to enlighten you from Islamic studies point of view. However, I would like to ask the audience, who are in this room is or are not having the cell phone? Raise your hand, please. Now, in fact, I think the organizers, they have prepared the door prize, the cell phone. But since everyone owns the cell phones, so the door prize is cancelled now. Ladies and gentlemen, now everything is changed. The way we live is changed. The one who recite the Quran, they are using cell phone right now. And cell phone, Al-Quran is on the cell phone right now. We may have to ask him whether he brings his cell phone as well to the bathroom. Why? Because it is impossible for us that to bring the paper Quran into the bathroom. But nowadays, things change. The way we buy something, the way we trade, the way we run the commerce is also changed. For the Indonesian who are familiar with Tanah Abang, in the past, probably ibu-ibu, you can call mama as well. At the end of Ramadan, the fasting month, they went to Tanah Abang to buy clothes, to buy things, to celebrate the Ramadan, to celebrate the Ramadan, end of Ramadan, to celebrate Idul Fitri. Idul Fitri, so that's why Islam becoming rahmatan lil alamin. It's not only for Muslim, but for non-Muslim. I have a friend, non-Muslim, Chinese, who trades something in the Tanah Abang market. And he wishes that everyone is fasting month. Why? Fasting month is always the peak of their sales. And they say, thank you, Rudy. I wish that everyone is fasting month. I think it is good for you, but not good for us, because we have to do fasting ourselves. Anyway, nowadays, people, ibu-ibu, they are not going to the Tanah Abang market. What they are doing, they still buy, they still purchase the things from Tanah Abang, but the way they purchase is now different. I asked my friend in Tanah Abang, how is your revenue? Is it now declining because of this digital? Is it now declining because we can purchase from the marketplace from Indonesia in Tokopedia or Bukalapak or Publis? They said no. But the way the people purchase now is different. Some of our friends from Nigeria, from Africa, in the past, they visited Jakarta, they visited this market to buy things, to buy clothes, to be exported into their countries. But nowadays, they're still buying the clothes from Indonesia. But the way they buy the clothes, using the internet, digital. So this is the trade. Education. This is, be careful, because you are coming from education background. You can note my speech on this one, my remarks on this one. The way people educate is also changed. I keep reminding my friend from the universities, if the teachers in the universities, the way they teach the students do not change, usually they teach, they're only referring to some namanya apa buku-buku itu? Text, textbook. You're gone. We are no longer need that kind of teacher. So because what we are doing, this is normally happen in Indonesia, not in the Islamic education, but in general in Indonesia, they're using the textbook and they give it into the students. They ask the students to study. and then they conduct the examinations. Nowadays, it's different. We have to really ask the student, entice the students to come up with the creative thinking. Indonesia is changing the process of education. My ministry is preparing the satellite right now to connect the whole schools throughout the country. We have 214,000 schools, whether elementary schools, junior high schools, senior high schools, not to mention private schools and Islamic boarding schools, where we have more than 20,000 pesantren in the country. Why we are preparing our satellite? Actually, we are preparing the internet, we are preparing the digital. Why? When I was young, I was taught by my teacher, 2 plus 2 equal 4. 2 times 2 equal 4. Then I asked my teacher, so what is the difference between times and plus if we end up with the same number 4? And my teacher responded by saying, you just shut up your mouth, just memorize it. So we were always asked to memorize. Nowadays, we cannot do that. We cannot ask our teachers, we cannot ask our children only to memorize. We have to really ask them, we have to entice them to come up with the creative thinking. We have to allow them to ask, why, or why not? Of course, within the corridors of our values and our beliefs on the religion. We cannot go beyond those our values, Indonesian values, and our religion. So this is the objective of our having internet. Why? Because what we have to ask in the class, say this is in the junior high school or in the senior high schools. If it is in university, we are too late. We want to do it in the early stage, junior high school. So the team comprised of 4 or 5 students. Then we give them the case. We ask them to solve the case. How do they solve the case? They just browsing through internet. But this is not the slow internet. It has to be the broadband, the high-speed throughput internet. So they can refer to any places in the world. The important things is not the solution, but the important things for our younger generations is their mindset, is the process, arguing each other again within our social corridors, our cultures corridors, within our religion's beliefs. Why? Now I'm talking Indonesia. Indonesia, with more than $1 trillion GDP, this is real GDP, it's not PPP, it's not purchasing power parity, this is real GDP. If PPP, the purchasing power parity, Indonesia is number 8 in the world. So that's why we are part of the member of the G20. Even in the real GDP, we are number around 16 or 17, something like that. You are from Saudi Arabia, right?
No.
Oh, from Egypt. Is anybody from the KSA, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia? No. Born doesn't mean become the citizen, right? Nowadays it's only 1/1 trillion. Next years, we do believe that our digital economy will reach 130 billion US dollars. And this reflects 11% of our real GDP. And $130 billion is even much bigger compared to economy in some countries in ASEAN. Because in ASEAN, only Indonesia is a member of the G20. When I talked to my counterpart last August, we had the G20 meeting in in Japan. Yeah? And they come up with the concept data free flow with trust, and they insisted that we have to implement this one. I said, why don't you advise us before we make decision? No, the G7 countries already make decision. Okay, fine. G7, please be reminded. In the next 10 years, Indonesia will be number 5, and will be G7 member. And by saying that one, and then their treatment is slightly different to us. Now, because we have to see that 10 years down the road, what will happen 10 years down the road? Number one, Indonesia will be in the peak of the bonus demography. What does it mean? The number of Indonesian productive ages will be twice than non-productive one. Then we have to count ourselves. We will be part of the productive one or not? This is number one. Number two, the size of economy Indonesia in 10 years down the road will be as big as the whole ASEAN economy right now and becoming Indonesian economy. Third, the middle class or consuming class number of Indonesia. Right now we have around 50 million Indonesian consuming class. But in 2030, 10 years old, we will have between 140 to 150 million consuming class, which is more than Egypt population. This is only consuming class. So this is what is going on, and this is what will be the numbers in 2030. But those numbers will become the hollow numbers unless we have talented person, we have talented students right now. 10 years down the road, Mr. Director General won't be Director General anymore, but hopefully becoming the minister, because there is no limitation for the minister in terms of age. The minister in Indonesia could be 70 years old even. So, again, human capital is very important. Developing the talent is very important. Now, we are talking on our requirement on the digital talent. Indonesia, we need around 600,000 per year. The new digital talent to be pumped into the market. 600,000 to ensure that Indonesia will keep up with the changes in the world. We keep up with all digitations stage in the world. Indonesia is firm believer on the digital economy. Why? There are 3 reasons. Number one, digital economy will create the digital workforce. Anybody want to know Gojek? Gojek drivers is digital workforce. Now, the Gojek drivers, they are already exceeding 1 million. And 70% they will not use the Gojek driver. Gojek is to ride hailing, motorcycle. So they didn't have opportunity to enter into this business. Look at Tokopedia. Tokopedia, I think ibu-ibu or bapak-bapak, you should buy something from Tokopedia. Tokopedia, they have almost 7 million merchants. And 70% or almost 5 million, they are the one who were not or never been in the business before. So, create workforce digitations. That is number one. Number two, reason number two is shared economy. In the old model business, corporations is always based on the asset. It's a corporation, but this startup is based on partnerships and light asset. Look at even say in the Gojek, who own the bicycle? It's not the Gojek, it's not the company. It's not reflected in their balance sheet. It's owned by the driver. In the GoFood, who own the kitchen? It's not the platform, but it is the merchant. So that's why this new business model, the startup model in Indonesia, is close to cooperatives rather than cooperation, rather than corporation. Ibu-ibu, bapak-bapak, ini yang baru itu lebih dekat kepada koperasi. Why? The cooperatives in Indonesia, the definition of cooperative itu adalah kumpulan individu yang membawa alat produksi. It's a collections of the people who bring their own production tools. That is cooperatives. While corporations is a collection of people who bring the capital. Sedangkan korporasi itu orang-orang yang membawa modal. Jadi kalau di korporasi biasanya yang modalnya paling tinggi jadi dirut atau jadi penguat controlling shareholders. But in the startup, they make differentiations between founders and the investors. That is reason number 2. Reason number 3 is digital economy always push the financial inclusion. Nowadays, people who doesn't have any even account in the banks, they can do payment through GoPay, OFood, OVO, Dana, or Link aja. So, for the one who are unbanked or underserved by financial services, they can have their financial services in their cell phone right now. So that's why the government of Indonesia is a firm believer on the digital economy. Again, coming back into the digital talent. How are we going to address the 600,000 requirement of the digital talent in the country? I don't think that Pak Dirjen is developing the digital talent in their curriculum, and none of the universities developing the digital talent in their universities, because most of the universities in Indonesia, they are still having the old schools in their mind. Look at the universities. I keep asking, in the faculty of economy, they must have the accounting department, economic development department in all more than thousands universities in Indonesia, and none of them having the digital economy. Di kita tuh prodi digital dengan ekonomi digital, whether logistik, whatever it is with regard into the digital economy. So that's why we have to change the education system in Indonesia. Nothing wrong with the Islamic education system, because when I was kid in the morning, I study in the national schools, but in the afternoon, I study in madrasah. So I study also Tare, Nahu, Sorok, Fikih. Again, how important is digital talent development? My ministry took initiatives to develop 25,000 for 2019. So we provide what we call is the 25,000 digital talent scholarships. We provide scholarships. Not on the knowledge, but on the skill. What we need is to improve the skills of the Indonesians, younger generations. If you would like to study on the knowledge, you have to get the degree or post-degree. But that is for knowledge. But what Indonesia needs is the skill. Yang kita butuhkan dari generasi muda adalah keterampilan. So that's why we embarked the program this year for 25,000. The trial period was a year ago, only for 1,000. The one who participate for selections were 46,000. The one who passed the test only 21,000, but we only accept 1,000. This year we accept for 25,000. Next year we double. We prepare 50,000, and we team up with the global tech company, Microsoft, Google. Why? Because all those big tech company, they have the academy. Their good academy always supported by the good curriculum or syllabus. Why do we have to reinvent the wheel? I talked to my friend from the University of Indonesia. How long if you would like to build, to develop our own curriculum? Rudy, if it is 4 years, that's good enough for us. I think I cannot wait for 4 years. So what we are doing is copying the syllabus abroad and use this one for Indonesian digital talent. In Indonesia we call it, kan kita suka ada studi banding. Now what I did is studi tiru, studi contek. Yeah, why? We don't need studi banding. We can do through video conference. We can do through internet. Yeah. What we have to do is studi contek atau studi tiru. What's wrong with the studi tiru? What's wrong with if we are copying the good syllabus developed by others? As long as not violating any laws here in Indonesia, then I think it's okay. Ibu bapak-bapak, ladies and gentlemen, that is how important we are developing our talent. And for this program, digital talent tips, we don't care whether they are graduated from universities or they are graduated from the vocational school, SMK. As long as their age is not higher, not older than 29 years old. We are focusing on the younger generations of Indonesia. We are preparing the younger generation of Indonesia for 10 years down the road. My ministry, we provide the scholarships for master degree. But I stopped it 2018 because previously we are sent to America, to Australia, to Europe. I said no more sending people to those countries. We stopped it, but we only send into the 2 universities. One, Bangalore IIT in India. Second, Tsinghua of Beijing. Why? That is the futures of the digital in the world. So we are also always preparing something that 5 years, 10 years down the road. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I always offer to my friends from other countries, to policymakers from other countries, piggyback Indonesian experience. We'll be more than happy to share with our brothers, our Muslim brothers in the world. Rather than the Muslim, quote-unquote, Muslim countries could be populations mostly Muslim, or the country were really using the Islamic as their own way of life. Yeah. So whatever definitions, so I urge that we are the Muslim countries. Indonesia, we have population 260 more than million. We have more than 200 million Muslim. Pakistan, India, and don't forget our Muslim brothers and sisters in Africa, which is Nigeria. I think with 4 or 5 countries, we will reach 1 billion market in the world. That is the economic scale that we have to use. That is the number that we always have to reverse when we would like to develop anything, education, whatever it is with regard into the Islam in the world. Otherwise, Islam, the number of populations, Muslims in the world will increasing, but they will increase by itself without any bounding, without any cooperations among the Muslim countries. By this, I would like to conclude my remarks. This is not really a speech, but at least something that we can use and remember. I believe that I have to hit this wood by this hammer by saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I herewith officially opened the annual International Conference on Islamic Studies. Thank you very much. I see my friend here from Nadatul Ulama. Wallahul muwaffiq ila aqwamit thoriq. So does my brother from Muhammadiyah. Fastabiqul khairat. And the rest of us, wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Perfect.
Terima kasih Bapak Menteri Informatika, Komunikasi dan Informatika yang telah menyampaikan keynote speech yang sangat bermanfaat untuk kita semua. Selanjutnya Bapak Ibu hadirin yang kami hormati, sebagai ungkapan rasa syukur atas terselenggaranya seluruh rangkaian acara pembukaan Aicis ke-19 pada kesempatan malam hari ini, marilah kita tutup dengan doa yang akan dipimpin oleh Ustadz Syarifuddin Muhammad, Imam Masjid Istiqlal. Silakan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Astaghfirullahaladzim, astaghfirullahaladzim, astaghfirullahaladzim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin, Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim. Dengan segala kebesaran dan keagungan-Mu, dan dengan mengaturkan puji dan syukur kehadirat-Mu, seraya menadahkan tangan bermohon dengan tulus agar kami mendapatkan hidayah dan petunjuk-Mu, dan berharap tujuan rahmat, berkah dan ridha-Mu semoga selalu menyertai langkah-langkah kami. Ya Allah, Ya Alim, Engkau Maha mengetahui. Saat ini kami hadir dalam acara pembukaan Aicis. Semoga Engkau jadikan perbuatan kami pada malam hari ini pertemuan yang berlimpah berkah. Dan semoga pertemuan ini dapat melahirkan pemikiran yang brilian untuk kemaslahatan umat, agama, bangsa dan negara kami. Dan juga akan menjadikan kami manusia-manusia yang beriman, berilmu dan bertakwa kepadamu. Ya Allah, Ya Syakur, jadikanlah kami sebagai hamba-hambamu yang pandai mensyukuri nikmat-Mu, dan hiasi diri kami dengan perilaku terpuji, dan tanamkan kepada kami nilai-nilai pengabdian, pengorbanan kepada umat, agama, bangsa dan negara kami. Ya Allah, Ya Basir, lihatkanlah kepada kami yang benar itu adalah benar, dan berikan kepada kami kekuatan untuk mengikutinya. Dan perlihatkanlah kepada kami bahwa yang batil itu adalah batil, dan berikan kekuatan kepada kami untuk menghindarinya. Ya Allah, Ya Ghafur, ampuni segala dosa dan kesalahan kami.
Ampuni pula segala dosa dan kesalahan ayah dan ibu kami, guru-guru kami, pemimpin-pemimpin kami, dan semua orang-orang yang kami cintai dan mereka yang mencintai kami. Dan ampuni dosa saudara kami, mukminin, mukminat, muslimin, muslimat, dimanapun mereka berada. Allahumma aslih lana dinana alladhi huwa ismatu amrina, wa aslih lana dunyana allati fiha ma'ashuna, wa aslih lana akhiratana allati ilayha ma'aduna. Allahumma la taj'al dunya akbara hammina wa la mablagha ilmina wa la ila an-nari masirana. اللهم لا تجعل مصيبتنا في ديننا. اللهم اجعل الحياة زيادة لنا في كل خير والموت راحة لنا من كل شر. اللهم اختم لنا بخير واجعل عواقب أمورنا إلى الخير وتوفنا وأنت راض عنا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Lebih gatar wajahnya.
Baiklah Bapak Menteri beserta hadirin yang kami hormati, sebelumnya kita akan sama-sama menyaksikan penampilan tari Betawi yang akan dipersembahkan oleh Sanggar dari Dinas Pariwisata DKI Jakarta. Bapak Ibu, selamat menyaksikan.
Nanti mau dicas dulu, nanti kan ekor belum jalan.
Besok kan?
Malam ini bukannya?
Besok.
Kalau di jadwal malam ini Pak, apa udah ganti jadwal?
Nggak tahu. Masa malam ini?
Hmm.
Cek dulu aja.